Well, hello and welcome to the Squirtle State Basketball Tournament Pick'em Show. I am your host, Andy Campbell, and we're going to talk sports today with our three panelists, Mark Rogers, Michael Swisher, and Cam Jordan. We had these guys on a couple of weeks ago before the playoffs started, but we're going to have them back on to preview the state tournaments from Class 6A down to 2A. I didn't have a chance to rewatch that show before tonight, but if my memory is correct, Mark Rogers and Cam Jordan nailed their picks, and Michael Swisher didn't get anything right. So, that's how I remember it, at least. But speaking of someone who got it right, how about David Glover and the guys at OSSAA figuring out a way to get a lot of these teams to play at the Big House this week, getting around the weather, the ice storm that we had a couple of weeks ago. Great job, Coach Glover, and best of luck to all the teams who get to play in the state tournament this week. If you're looking for the state tournament brackets, get on the Squirtle app. There's a big banner that has that you can click on that has all of the brackets for all of the classes. Before we get started, I want to ask our panelists that we had the Class A and Class B state tournaments this last week. Give us a storyline or one or two storylines that really stood out to you during those tournaments and the champions that we got to see crowned last week. Cam, let's start with you.
I think the biggest thing off of the top of my head is the Tushka boys from unranked. They're the first unranked team in state history to ever win a state title. Technically, they're the second unranked team to start the playoffs and win a state title. Fort Cobb Broxton entered the 2000 playoffs unranked, but a week later was ranked 19th. But they were ranked when they won a title. Tushka is the first unranked boys champion in state history. I think just their story of running through the gauntlet like they did. They beat 6 ranked teams in the last 2 weeks of the season, including number 5, number 1, and number 2 at the state tournament. Coach Chris Zeich and his boys had a tremendous run, and it was really fun to watch.
No doubt. Michael Swisher.
Really surprised you didn't make me go last so they could cherry pick all the good stuff. But I'm just going to say this past weekend just went to show how hard it is to win 3 in a row. Lomega and Hydro Girls both had a chance to do that and both got knocked off in the finals with really good teams. Hydro, of course, was undefeated. I really thought this was, a few years ago when Sealing won their 4th, they beat Hydro. It was kind of like a passing of the torch. I thought that's what Hydro would do this year, kind of pass that torch to Sealing. Well, Sealing just went ahead and grabbed it, and they're going to be really tough to beat the next couple of years. And then Pittsburgh, the same with Lomega. Just winning 3 in a row is tough. Even that Sealing group that won 4 in a row, they got pushed to double overtime in their 3rd year in the semifinals and really pushed the finals. It's just tough to do, and this last week just proved that.
Mark Rogers.
There's a great picture on social media. Jeff Mackey, he was on top of the horse outside the State Fair arena with the goal ball and the net. But I thought he was dominant inside in that game. And Garber was, much bigger at some of the guard positions. But I'm going to go with the Pittsburgh girls, a young team that I thought fundamentally played great defense. They could all handle the basketball and all shoot. And we see a lot of turnovers in some of these games at the Big House. And, Lomega creates a lot of pressure. That team is an intimidating team just because of how good that they've been for that many years. So you had a team going in with 67 state tournament wins that had won 6 in a row, a team that never won a game in the state tournament. So I'll give Jim Jensen. You guys talked about him on the first show, how good a coach he is. And I think that showed up, and he wins the state championship.
Let's go ahead and break down the brackets that we have for the state tournament games this week. Let's start at the top. 6A girls. Edmond North has been the favorite all year. They face a Stillwater team and then sets up a possible semifinal matchup with Choctaw, who has also been really good all year. Mark Rogers, we'll start with you. What do you see Class 6A girls?
I think Edmond North is going to be tough to beat. I really do. I think that's here we've got kind of pretty much most of the seeding that we expected, with the exception of Stillwater, who made a run. So I think that there's a lot of good teams in this class, but I think Edmond North, I liked them a couple weeks ago. I still think that they're the team to beat.
Michael Swisher.
I took Edmond North before. I'm going to stick with them. I think we said when we began that process way back when, you never know exactly how the bracket's going to line up, because inevitably there are going to be some upsets in the playoffs. And so that kind of threw Choctaw on the same side as Edmond North when Mustang beat Choctaw. Maybe not a huge surprise. Mustangs, been really good all year. shout out to their assistant, Jamie Combs. Went to her wedding last spring. My head still hurts from the activities after the fact. But I think it's going to be Mustang and Edmond North in the championship game, and Edmond North's going to win it.
Cam Jordan.
I think the game when Edmond North played Class and SAS back in the middle of February, I think that was kind of a little bit of a wake-up call for them. It was a really fun game between arguably the two best girls teams in the state. Edmond North was up by double digits in the second half, ended up losing that game, and they've been dominant ever since. They were my pick a couple weeks ago. They were my pick back when the season started with Lacey Steele and Ellen Tony Paparonis, and just with the emergence of their role players as well, Allison Heathcock, Ataya Cassis. They're just playing outstanding. They're my pick.
Let's move on. 6A boys. How about this first round matchup? Edmond Memorial, Edmond Santa Fe. Then you also have Edmond North on the top half of that bracket. All three Edmond teams vying for a gold ball this week. Also have Booker T, Norman North, PC West, and more. Michael Swisher, tell us what to look for in 6A boys.
Yeah, again, go back to the first one we did where you said I did so horribly bad. And I think I said then, I'll be curious to see how the West teams do who are on that east side of the bracket. Well, you look at this bracket, it's full of West teams. And I think a lot of people are shocked at some of the East teams that didn't make it. But at the end of the day, I still think Booker T is gonna pull it out. And I say it's going to be Booker T, Edmond Memorial in the championship game. But if 6A has proven anything to us the last few years, it's really up for grabs. And it's just who's going to play the best 3 days.
Cam Jordan.
Yeah, that first round matchup between Santa Fe and Memorial, those teams have already played, I believe, 4 times this year, and they split 2-2. It's crazy to think that they'll be meeting for a 5th time in the state tournament. Usually high school teams sometimes will play twice or 3 times, but you never hear about 5. I like a team like PC West. I think that they could possibly make a run. I mean, this is the most open 6A boys has been in quite some time, but I'm also going with Washington. I think that they could run into some trouble if they have to go up against a team with a really good big man, aka JVC from Edmond Memorial, Dylan Worrell, Edmond North. I really like how good they are at guard. They're so deep at guard. They have 4 players who average more than 10 points a game. But Cam Parker and Aaron Potter are the star duo, and I think that those two are just really outstanding basketball players. And I think it's time that Booker T gets back on top.
Cam, surely you're taking your Santa Fe Wolves over Memorial in that first round, right?
I'm just excited I get to be there to watch that one. I think it's going to be a really good game.
Mark Rogers.
Moore and Putnam West played, I think, in the Putnam City tournament, and Moore was able to win that game. I think Putnam West is playing really, really good right now. I think they've got a good shot to perhaps make it into the final. But I still think that I will go back to Booker T. Washington. I think they're going to be the team to beat here, but it's a pretty even bracket. I think we can see all those Edmond schools have taken turns beating each other this year. So anything can happen in this one. It's just, I think, who gets hot and starts playing with the right confidence. But Booker T's guards, I think, will be the difference in this bracket.
That wraps up Class 6A. Let's move on down to Class 5A girls. Carl Albert has been the favorite here most of the year, but you have Sapulpa, the defending champion, on the top half of that bracket. Mark Rogers, go ahead and start with you. What to look for in 5A girls?
Yeah, Sapulpa and El Reno. I think that'll be a good matchup on Friday at Lloyd Noble. And then Carl Albert, McAllister potentially on the other side of the bracket. So I think I'll go with Sapulpa in this one. Maybe a little bit of an upset over Carl Albert. The El Reno game will be a hurdle for them for sure, but I think that Sapulpa will win and defend championship.
Cam Jordan.
I like Sapulpa as well. Stally Hurd is back. She was really pivotal for them last year as an underclassman in the state championship game. Obviously, Tamara Poindexter was a star, but Stally has stepped up into that role and been really good for them. I do think Carl Albert's a really good basketball team, but I think the experience that Sapulpa has in this big game from last year and knowing how to win this time of year, that's really pivotal, and I think that that's going to help push them over the top.
Michael Swisher.
Yeah, I'm going to make 3 for 3 here. Sapulpa, just as Cam said, the experience, the big game experience, but also just overall schedule this year was quite a bit tougher than Carl Albert's. And I think that's going to pay off through these 3 days. Sapulpa beats Carl Albert.
Well, how about this Class 5A boys bracket? You have 2 state champions from a year ago, Carl Albert and Del City, potentially squaring off there in the semifinals on Friday. Also have Bishop McGuinness, Midwest City, Southeast, and Memorial on the top half of that bracket. Michael Swisher, let's go ahead and start with you. 5A boys.
Should be some fun games, but it's going to come down to Memorial and Dell City. Dell City got them tournament champions. I think Memorial gets them here, returns the favor down in Norman. But again, it wouldn't shock me if those two teams don't end up in the finals. Like I said, it's going to be a fun bracket, but I do think those are the two best teams, so I think they'll rise up in Memorial's. Sorry, Lenny, but Memorial's going to get it at the end.
Mark Rogers.
I like Dell City. They got the most talent. Again, Brandon Garrison inside. He's going to be really tough to stop. You got to give a little shout out to Southeast. Walt Brewer there. They had that miraculous victory at home against Ardmore that got them into the regional final or the area final, and then they delivered. So they've only been beaten a couple times this year, and they faced some good teams in the schedule. So if Memorial is a little sleepy, I think Southeast will get by McGinnis. I think if Memorial's a little sleepy, that could be dangerous for them. But I do think Dell City has got, to me, a little easier path. I think they get there to the finals and they win the championship after moving down.
Cam Jordan.
I think you could make an argument that Dell City and Tulsa Memorial are the two best teams in the state. Ty Frierson for Tulsa Memorial, Brandon Garrison for Dell City. I think those two are the two stars. And in my opinion, I've said this, especially the last couple of weeks, when Brandon Garrison plays to his potential, he's just, and I think playing under Tommy Griffin has really helped him, an assistant at Dell City, Blake Griffin's dad. I think that's helped take Brandon Garrison's game to a new level, having him to kind of learn and grow from. When he plays at his best, I think he's the best player in the state. And if he can play at that level in the state tournament, nobody's going to beat Dell City. They're my pick to win, but I cannot wait to watch them in Memorial play. I think that'll be the championship matchup.
2 classes down, so let's go to Class 4A girls. You have the defending state champion Tuttle Tigers on top of that bracket, have been dominated all season. You also have Classen SAS down on the other half of the bracket. Michael Swisher, let's start with you, 4A girls.
Hey, shout out to the WAC, Western Athletic Conference. Blanchard, Weatherford, Kingfisher, Tuttle all got in from that conference, so half of the field from one conference. Won't pick Kingfisher, obviously, any of 4A. But in this bracket, it's tough to pick against Tuttle or Classen SAS. I'm going to stick with those two teams. They're the two best teams. And again, Classen, they're going to get over that first round hump this year, and that's just going to be a tremendous load off their back, and they're going to play just loose and free. And Classen's going to bring home the title.
Hey, Swish, we gave a shout-out to David Glover earlier. Did you want to say anything to him for having Kingfisher Yellow Jackets at 9 a.m. on a Tuesday morning, a game that you have to cover?
Nothing I haven't already said to him in person today. I actually I was over at his house earlier. I had to run and grab something over at his house, and I'll let my thoughts be known. But, he's got an unenviable job, so I try not to gripe too much. It wouldn't be so bad if we didn't start this thing at 9:00 at night, and I got to get up early and drive over there. But hey, you guys do what you got to do.
Some of us have other prior engagements. Our producer Corey Rogers is getting this show from Salt Lake City, Utah tonight at a Hibachi Grill. So
as he's watching the Onion Volcano. But I too had a school board meeting. I'm one of the reasons we're doing this late.
Cam Jordan, 4A girls.
I think Swish said it really well. I think it's going to come down to Tuttle. They obviously brought pretty much everybody back from that team last year. And then Classen SAS. This was a matchup that many thought we were going to get last year. Didn't happen when Fort Gibson upset the Classen SAS girls in the first round. They're going to be able to get that proverbial monkey off their back. They're going to get past the first round, and I think they're going to win it this year. I just think with Dariana Littlepage Buggs, Jordan Harrison, Micah Gray, those three are just too good, especially Dariana Littlepage Buggs plays to her potential. I don't think that even Hadley Perriman or Landry Allen will be able to stop her down low. It'll be a really good battle. I think it's going to be one of the better games if they do match up, but I think this is Classen SAS time to win their first title in school history.
Mark Rogers.
I got to ask Swish, what was more impressive over the weekend, Cam's cowboy hat or his belt buckle? He was rolling into the state fair like it was like 1989 and they were having the NFR in there. I was very impressed. Are you Cam? Are you planning on rocking that at Norman this week?
I have definitely been requested by multiple coaches from 6A down to 2A this week that I need to make that appear. That I need to make that look appear again. So it could be happening.
What did you eat at Cattleman's?
I have not. I would stick to a steak if I went there. Maybe a baked potato too, but maybe have to stop between moving between the big house and down at Lloyd Noble this week.
I'll tell you what. I'll throw in $100 if you ride a horse in the Lloyd Noble. That would be fantastic. So back to the 4A girls. Neither one of these teams, Tuttle or Classen, has lost to a team from Oklahoma this year. I'll be different. I like Tuttle a lot. Maybe it's because last year I got to see them a couple of games, and Classen was already eliminated. Give some credit to Fort Gibson, who made state again. Just make it every year. But the streak is up to 20 something, or it's a lot. 17. That's a bunch. So I think that I do think Classen is able to get out of the first round this year. But I again, my X factor in this is Maddie Serber. I just think she's so tough. She can play great defense, and she's kind of got that attitude that I think will allow Tuttle to repeat.
Hey, Mark, I meant to ask you this earlier before we moved to 4A boys. What games are you going to be calling this week? You'll let the people know how to watch you. Yeah,
and again, NFHS, we will have tomorrow. I've got 4 games. Most of the games I'm working this week are night games. So Thursday I can't be at the state tournament, but Tuesday, Wednesday I'll have 4A boys, 3A boys. Then Friday night I'll have 4 games, and then I'll be there for all 6 on Saturday. So it should be a lot of fun.
Be a busy week for our 3 panelists. So let's move on. Class 4A boys. You had the defending champion, Kingfisher Yellow Jackets. They've dominated all year. You have Crossings Christian, who won the gold ball in 3A last season. Their potential matchup with Kingfisher in that second round, if they can get past Holland Hall, coached by Teddy Owens. They also have Mount St. Mary's, Victory, Weatherford, and Heritage Hall on the bottom half of that bracket. Mark, tell us about 4A boys.
I went with Victory Christian a couple weeks ago. I'll stick with them. They lost a tough one to Holland Hall. They beat Holland Hall twice during the regular season, but lost by 1 to them in the regional final. But this bracket is really good. I'm amazed. I'm not amazed because I've known Jared Reese forever, and how good a basketball player he was in high school, how good a coach he was. He won games at Blackwell, which is a miracle. And so Kingfisher obviously thought if he could win at Blackwell, then he could probably win many state championships there, and it worked. So he replaces all those starters and all that experience last year and only loses 1 game. So it's hard to pick against them. But this is a bracket that I think is got a lot of good teams in it, and it will be fun to watch. But I'm going to go with Victory Christian.
Cam Jordan.
I sat and looked at this bracket for a long time and looked at the matchups and looked at the different ways that it could possibly break out. And the thing that I just kept coming back to is, for some reason, Kingfisher is the team that stood out to me. I know that this is a team that these players, a couple of them have played in this stage, but they graduated all 5 starters last year. But there's something about this team, like Mark said. Jared Reese has done an incredible job with this team. He's done such a great job since he's got to Kingfisher. And I just think that they have that kind of winning tradition now. They expect to get to the big house. They expect when they get there that they're going to win and play really well. And I just think that means something. I think that having that type of culture built already, I think Victory's a really good team. Crossings is hungry there. Holland Hall is obviously there as well. I think Mount St. Mary is a little bit of a sleeper. I think that they could go on a run, but and even with Heritage Hall, that we could have Kingfisher Heritage Hall part 4 now. Would it be? I think, and it's just there's so many good teams, but something about Kingfisher just stands out. So that's who I'm picking.
Michael Swisher.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, guys, when you see Kingfisher take the court tomorrow, you're going to go, what? 25. This group's 25-1. Just when they head out there for the warm-ups, you're gonna wonder how in the world that group's 25-1. But then when you see how hard they play, I put it in a tweet last Friday after they beat a really good Weatherford team that is in the state tournament. He beat them by 25 on a neutral court. I was like, truly this group 25-1, the sum is greater than the whole of its parts. And that's no disrespect to the kids, because, us people from Kingfisher, we knew this group would be good, but I think they've exceeded what a lot of people thought. But again, I'm not going to pick Kingfisher. And, before I did pick Victory, I thought Victory and Heritage Hall would meet up. I didn't, again, Victory got upset, so that put them on the same side as Heritage Hall. I'm going to stick with Victory. And I'm going to say Victory and Hall and Hall are going to meet up for the finals, and Victory is going to get them again, as my friend the Moth wants to fly by my face right here. But I think Victory is going to get them for I think the third time this season and win the title. But again, I said I thought 10, 11, 12 teams could make it. Unranked Blanchard's in here, 12th ranked Weatherford's in here, number 10, number 11 are in here. You could play this tournament a few times and get a few different champions. So it's truly wide open, in my opinion.
Mark, did we hear from you on 4A boys? Sorry.
Yeah, I got Victory Christian.
Okay. Let's go with, 2 classes left. Let's move on down to Class 3A girls. You have Lincoln Christian, who's been number 1 most of this season. You also have the defending champion Jones Longhorns there on the bottom half of the bracket. So, Cam, let's start with you. 3A girls, who are you taking?
You just mentioned the 2 teams that I think are going to be in the championship game. And they actually played about a month ago now, and Jones came away with the victory. Jones has played a really tough schedule this year, especially with Boston Berry back. They're going to be a good team. Lost a couple of pieces from last year's squad, but returned a really solid bunch. But I like Lincoln. I think I just think that, they've also played a good schedule this year. Like you said, been ranked one of the top teams all year long, and I think that this is the year. I do expect them and Jones to play again, and I think they're going to get a little bit of payback in that championship game.
Swish.
Yeah, I mean, it should be Lincoln Christian and Jones, but a few weeks back I said Perry and Idabel, and I picked Perry to win it all, and I'm going to stick with the Lady Maroons. They're pretty good. They got all the pieces that you need to win it. So again, it's going to be tough for both of those teams to even get to the finals, but I'm going to say Perry beats Idabel and, kind of go against the grain, which is what I did, a few weeks ago when I picked Tushka to win Class A boys.
It was a nice pick.
That was an impressive pick. I think that Moth is really kind of bothering there still. So maybe you can deal with that while Mark Rogers tells us about 3A boys. Or 3A girls, I'm sorry. 3A
That's
girls.
okay. Yeah, no, Idabel, man, that's a heck of a team. They haven't lost a team from Oklahoma. Both their losses to Liberty Ilo, and they've been killing people, scoring points, scoring in the 70s most of the games. Where on the other hand, Jones, they don't allow many points at all. But this bracket is really even. Perry will have a shot. Lincoln definitely has a great shot to repeat. But I think that I'm going with Jones. I like their defense. Last season, they were just incredible in the final against Roland. And so I think that they've got a lot of confidence. Both lost the Moore sisters, but they will have plenty coming back this season. So I think that that's going to be a good, this could be a good bracket to watch.
3A boys will have a new champion this year as Crossings moved up to 4A after winning the gold ball last season. OCS has been really good this year. Also, we have Marlowe and Millwood and Community Christian, as well as Washington up there on the top half of the bracket. Cam Jordan, let's start with you, Class 3A boys.
The last time that OCS had a basketball team that was this good, it had a dominant big man down low. I know I brought up the reference to Tommy Griffin earlier. Blake Griffin was on the team the last time that this OCS team won a state title. And they have another dominant big man this year, Luke Gray. He's a sophomore, 6'6". If you haven't heard of him, you want to watch OCS play. I actually myself have only seen him on film, and I'm pumped to get to watch him come Wednesday. I think that OCS is going to win the title because of how dominant he is down low. But a team that I wouldn't be surprised if they could find their way playing in that game on Saturday is Millwood. Their leading scorer, Jaden Nickens, who's a freshman, comes off the bench, but their starting 5 is really solid when Jaden comes in. And when he's playing well, he's going to be the best player on the court in the 6A tournament. But I still think Luke Gray is so dominant down low. I just don't know how teams can get an answer for him. He has a really good sporting cast around him. I'm going with OCS.
Mark Rogers.
OCS will be tough to beat. A lot of winning plays. Got to see them play. Adam and I had that game in the cash-in tournament. Got to see them play twice. I think that I don't know how you have much of an answer for him, but this is kind of a wild card bracket. Washington got through that really tough regional unscathed, as rated 13th, and they played a pretty tough schedule. Marlowe wins everything. They won wrestling, beat my Blackwell Maroons by 2 points there, and won football. And you've got a great matchup. Kirk Harris, the head coach, has been there forever at Marlowe. Same with Roland's coach, and so That will be a really good game there. But I think this bracket is pretty interesting. But I think OCS and Millwood, to me, are the teams that's got the best shot to win. I'd go with OCS.
Michael Swisher.
I'd like to make my public apology to Truckee Shane Feely and the Alva Gold Bugs. Pick them to make the state championship game and didn't get out of the regional tournament. Had to play Hennessy on their home court, had to play Perry on their home court. So that pick didn't look so good, but it's just a kind of a tough luck deal for Alva, team that I still would say, would have a shot at winning it all if they started the playoffs over again. I did pick OCS to win it back then. I'm going to stick with OCS, but this time I'm going to put Millwood in that bottom part of that bracket. And, they've really come along just as they almost always do this time of year. But, again, for all the reasons that Cam and even Mark said, I'm going to go with OCS to win it.
Well, former Alva Goldbug, Taylor Weebner, head coach down there at Kingston, has really put together a really good program. It seems like they are in the state tournament every single year, but have a tough challenge with Millwood there in the first round this season. All right, guys, last class. Let's go to 2A girls. We have Howe and Latta, Dale, Silo, Merritt, Pacola. It seems like we read these town names every year in this tournament. Who wins it? Mark Rogers, 2A girls.
Well, you got a rematch potentially in the finals of the LaFleur County tournament, and Pacola beat Howe by 1 in overtime. I'm going to go with the wild card Pacola here, but they're gonna really have to earn it. Going up against Dale, that will not be easy. I have a great crowd there, but I'm going to take Pacola to win.
Michael Swisher.
Eric Smith got a new suit. I saw that on Facebook, so that's going to make Dale pretty tough to beat. But again, Howe beats Dale in the finals. I'm sorry, Coach. Sorry, Eric. But it's just, Howe's just kind of got what it takes to win. I took him a few weeks ago. Going to stick with him because all my picks were so good back then. So no reason to change them now.
Maybe Coach Smith needs the cowboy hat and belt buckle like Cam Jordan to get him over the hump there.
He's probably got it in his closet in there somewhere.
Cam Jordan, 2A girls.
2A girls reminds me a lot of 4A boys. I just think that there's a lot of teams that are playing really well right now, and it could come down to who's playing the best. Or I like Pacola. Howe's won the last 2 titles, and I think Dale is really good too. But I'm going to pick Dale, and the reason why is because I think that they have played a really tough schedule, that they've played against really good competition all year long. And when you do that, it gets you ready for tournaments like this, for the grind it is, for the up and downs and throughout the games. And I really think that's going to pay off for them. I think so. I'm going to go with Dale, probably matching up against Howe in the finals again.
This 2A boys bracket seems to be really wide open. You have some really good teams, Dale, Pacola again, and then Morrison and Cashinall on the winners bracket on that side. Let's brag on the Cashin seniors here for a minute. They've played in 3 state championship football games, won 2 of those, and this is their 3rd straight basketball state tournament. But Mark Rogers, let's start with you. 2A boys. Who do you see coming out of this bracket?
I think it's going to be Dale. I think that they are on the right side of this bracket. When Oklahoma Union got beat and sent them down there with Cashin and Morrison, that's a really tough first-round game between Morrison and Oklahoma Union. And so I like Cashin. They challenged themselves playing, a ridiculously tough schedule in McGinnis and going up. But I think that this could be and they've had, some really good games with Dale too. So I think Dale gets some revenge. I think that they had lost at Cashin after the Cashin tournament. So I'm going to go with Dale to win this.
Forsyth kid, Dale, probably the best player in 2A boys, already getting looks from some D1 schools as a sophomore. Cam Jordan, who are you taking in 2A boys?
Yeah, Dayton Forsyth is legit. He's another one of these sophomores. I mean, this 2024 class in Oklahoma basketball-wise is loaded. I think, again, this was a bracket last year. I think it was a little bit more open last year than it was this year. But I think that Cashin and Dale are on a collision course to meet for the 3rd time this season. Dale won in the finals of the Cashin County Line tournament back in January, and then Cashin got some revenge on Valentine's Day. And the big difference in that game for Cashin was Jonah Jenkins came back. He didn't play in that first matchup, was hurt. But since he's come back, Cashin's been playing really well. I don't think they've actually lost since that point. I don't think I'm wrong when I say that. Some Cashion folks will correct me when they listen to this, but I'm going with Cashion. You know, this is a team that starting 5 seniors, Dale starts 2 sophomores and 3 freshmen. Experience in big time moments means a lot. This Dale team is really good and will have its time. This Dale team will win at least one state title in the next couple of years and possibly even this year. But I think that Cashion, just with the experience that they have a little bit of a chip on their shoulder after losing out on that 2020 tournament, falling short last year in the first round. I think that this is a year where they kind of lock down and really could bring home a gold ball.
Swish, close out 2A boys for us.
Yeah, I'm with Mark. That Morris and Oklahoma Union game could be a lot of fun in the first round. I still think Oklahoma Union can make a run to the finals again. I'm not going to pick Cashion. I like to make everybody mad, but potentially, you know, should Cashion win its first round game, you know, after losing to Howe in the first round last year, I know that they are really motivated to get over that hump. But, you know, that Oklahoma Union potentially Cashion semifinal game could be really good. But I'm going to take Dale. I'm going to stick with the Pirates. They got the best player in the class. And I'm going to take Dale over Oklahoma Union in the championship.
I want to thank our 3 panelists for joining us again tonight on the state tournament preview show here on Squirtle. These guys are going to be very busy this week, so if you see them, be sure to thank them for all the hard work that they do. You guys do such a terrific job with high school sports in the state of Oklahoma. And also be sure to tune in to Mark as he's calling a lot of these games, state tournament games this week. We will see you all at Lloyd Noble or the Big House. Looking forward to a great week of basketball. Thanks for having us. Thanks, guys.
Thanks.